Hi, this is Joe Ardette, and today I'm going to give a little demo of the markdown features in cloudscribe simple content. So first, let's talk what is markdown. Markdown is a lightweight markup language with plain text formatting syntax. It's become very popular for developers. It's used as the format for asking and answering questions on Stack Overflow. It's the format for README files and issues on GitHub, and it has been used a lot for documentation and it's become very popular with developers. And there are tools that are used for transforming it into HTML so that you can even make websites with markdown files. There's a lot of static website generators out there that use markdown as the source format. But cloudscribe simple content is not a static website generator. It is a dynamic website. So it's a little different, and I'm just going to get started with the cloudscribe project template in Visual Studio, which I've already installed. And you can see it here. It's under the web section. I'm going to browse to the folder where I want to put my project. And I'm just going to put it in a Scratch folder here. And I'm going to call it markdown.web. I'm going to click OK here, and that will bring up the dialog window that shows the cloudscribe options. Now you can use Markdown with any of these storage solutions, databases and whatnot, but if you use a database, then and you're using Markdown as the content type, then only the content body would be stored in the database as Markdown. If you use NoDB, which just stores files on disk, then you'll actually have Markdown files on disk, which can be handy because Markdown can be viewed also in Visual Studio, or Visual Studio Code has built-in support for that. So if you like Markdown and you want to use it for your website, you might want to use NoDB. NoDB is excellent for, small websites. I'm going to click OK. It will create my project. And the project gets created. It opens README telling you the next steps and some information like the login credentials, which are admin at admin.com with the password admin, which you should change, of course, before you deploy your site. I'm going to go ahead and go back into Visual Studio now. I'm going to open up the app settings file. And Markdown is not enabled by default because it is kind of a developer-centric thing. So in the documentation here, I show how to enable it. You just want to grab this little section here and paste it into app settings. And the important one, all these others have the default values, but the default value of show default content type is false, and setting it to true is really the important thing to make it easy to use Markdown. Then I will just build a solution. View in browser. I don't know why that's not under the tool menu anymore. Visual Studio 15.5. Just installed it before doing this demo, and maybe that was a mistake, but okay. So the site is created. We can see there's a message shown, no pages found. I'm going to log in as admin at admin.com with the password admin. Once I log in, the message on the home page changes. It knows I'm logged in, it knows I can edit, and it's prompting me saying, hey, no pages are found, why not go ahead and create your home page? To do that, you would just click the pencil, and this is now showing the standard HTML editor. It's CK editor, because I have not enabled Markdown as the default content type. But if I wanted to, I could just go $type equals Markdown, and now the editor changes to this Markdown editor. And we get Markdown syntax. This is my home page. And we also can drag and drop images right into the editor. So I'm going to grab an image here. How about this one? And you see it uploaded to the server automatically. It resized it for the web, and it made the resized one link to the full-size one. Now in Markdown syntax, your alt text goes here, And then you can also use this toolbar and you can preview side by side and you can see what it's going to look like. You can minimize it. I'm just going to go ahead and save my home page, which I've created with Markdown. Now, if I want to use Markdown as my default content type, maybe I want to have all my contents going to be Markdown, then I can just go under Administration, Content Settings, and that thing we did in App Settings just enabled this drop down here for default content type to be visible. And I'm going to set the default content to Markdown. Now if I go make a new page, you'll see that the default editor is Markdown. But just as I could override that before, I can just say type equals HTML, and then I get the HTML editor. So you can use either Markdown or HTML for any given page or post. Just the default is what you would use without any special thing to do. So let's make a few pages. Let's say about us. Okay, so stub that page out, and maybe we'll make another page. Notice one thing, if you're on a page, like whatever page is active, if you click the plus, you're going to make a child page below that page in the menu. But since I want another top level page, I'm going to click on home before I click plus, and then I get another root level page for contact. You could put your phone number here, your address, whatever. And so now we've got a few pages stubbed out. I'm going to go make a couple of blog posts. In the blog, I'm going to say, hey, Markdown rocks. And maybe I'll put another picture in there because it works the same way. How about some avocados? And again, if you want to use these are headings in Markdown. And I'm going to say Markdown. Oops, got to spell it right. Okay, so now I've got a few pages and a blog post. And what I wanted to show you is, since we used NoDB for the content type, you can go into Visual Studio, and under the NoDB storage where the files are created, you see the one with the GUID, that's the site ID. The default project only has some things. If it was multi-tenant, this stuff would be shared across sites, like the country list and the state list and the log. But if we look under page, you'll see the files are named something nice and readable. And if you open up the file, Visual Studio, it doesn't know the URL to the image, but it's got ability to show you what Markdown is going to preview like. It's because I used a relative URL there. But you'll see at the top we've got this YAML metadata. When I first saw the acronym YAML, I thought it stood for yet another markup language. But no, it's one of those funny recursive acronyms that stands for YAML ain't a markup language. YAML is a serialization format that's designed to be human readable, even more friendly than, say, JSON, which is not unfriendly either, and more friendly than XML. It doesn't have quotes, it doesn't have commas and brackets and all that kind of stuff. It's just a line, a colon between the key and the property. There's different ways of doing collections, which you can see kind of stubbed out here. So there it is. That's what Markdown looks like. And if you're doing a lot of work with Markdown, then you might like to use that as your format. And it's the same thing with the blog posts, which are stored in year-month folders. And you can see the metadata at the top. And that's become a convention because Markdown is just a content format. It's become a convention to use YAML at the top of the file for the metadata that's not content. And most of the Markdown tools are aware of that. So there you have it, a very simple site and you can change the theme. You can do it. There's a lot of built-in boot swatch themes, um, and you can create your own themes and whatnot. But I also wanted to show that we have support for browsing images on the server with this little button here. It brings up the file manager, the same one that we get in the HTML editor, and we can find images on the server there, select them, and it will insert it into the content. That's pretty much it for this demo. I just wanted to show you how you can use Markdown. So install the cloudscribe project template and give it a try yourself and let us know what you think.